Jennifer, would you like to come up? So Jen Gensimer has served on the council for a number of years now. The last 2 years, she's led the A&F, or Administration and Finance Committee, which really is the heart of the borough's financial activities. So she's kind of the budget guru. So let me pass. We hate to see her go, but we wish her well in her future endeavors. So she's going to talk about this, and then when she's finished, we're going to move into a Q&A session. So you'll have plenty of opportunity to ask questions of Jennifer and some of the SHPOA trustees that are involved in these issues. So Jennifer, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I'm just going to make a few short comments because I'd much rather answer your questions, which I'm sure you have a lot of them. We're working really, really hard on this appropriation cap. And quite honestly, it consumes hours and hours and hours. It's not a lot of fun, it's controversial, and it's scary because we are spending more than we are statutorily, we were slated to spend more than we're statutorily allowed. So to that end, we have been reorganizing Borough Hall. We moved a lot of if you worked in Borough Hall, you were full-time at 32 and a half hours. The rest of the borough workers were full-time at 40. You do some simple math, and the prices of today's benefits and pensions, that's not sustainable. So we're moving all the employees across the board in the borough. If you're full-time, you're 40 hours. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. And we also employ less employees, reduces our healthcare and pension costs. Let's talk about healthcare. The government's a little late to the healthcare and addressing rising healthcare costs. What happened last year was a lot of municipalities pulled out of the state healthcare program. Next year, our healthcare costs are slated to increase by 26%. The borough, that doesn't work for the borough. So basically, we're looking at leaving the state healthcare system. And that's a scary thought because when you go out in the open market, our costs could fluctuate even more. But that's where we're headed. Unfortunately, with the municipalities moving out, it changes who you're in the pool with, and your costs are just escalating. So that's a challenge. Another big challenge that we have at the borough is we really didn't embrace the information age. So we have a new CFO who has an IT background, and it's all about efficiency. So, we're doing what we can across the board to reorganize a more efficient Stone Harbor, to spend your tax dollars wisely. And I would also like to piggyback on what Tim had to say about Princeton Strategic Communications. They're our PR firm. We're going beyond transparency, and we're working to actively communicate with you what we're doing. We're trying to get the word out of what we're doing for you. What questions do you have for me? Hi, Ray.
Speak up.
I'll try to repeat her question. Go ahead.
On 3rd Avenue, the street looks beautiful today. On 1st Avenue, there are all sorts of cones on both sides of the street, at least from what is there scheduled? Is that scheduled? What is that?
Bunny,
You're talking about 111 to 122
No.
on First Avenue?
80th through 88, 9.
Yeah, and where are the cones? First Avenue?
Yeah, on both sides of the street, on the sidewalk going up.
You know what? I don't have the answer to that. We're going to have to get back to you on that. Yeah, I will tell you this, though. Third Avenue, let's talk about it. I've been dealing with Third Avenue in the county for over a year and a half. I begged them to put a scratch coat on it before the beginning of last summer, which they did, because I thought someone's axle would break, driving over that. But it's here, it's done, it looks beautiful. We're going to paint the lines, the county's painting the lines. But we did tons of infrastructure work underneath that. Water mains, stormwater, had to be done. In fact, I believe we had an $8 million project that did 3 miles of infrastructure work. But what happened was the bridge in Avalon Manor, they sent divers down. One of the pilings broke. They fixed it. The other piling broke. And this equipment you bring in was really heavy. And you couldn't come in any other way but Avalon Manor. So that was the delay. It's a county road. We work with them, they're partners, but we appreciate your patience. It was a long journey. We're also going to be paving 111 to 122 on 2nd Avenue. So, and we got that done for free. That was like $400,000 where we worked with our engineering partners to get that done. So we're doing this great stuff, it just takes time and patience.
So when is that 111?
That's going on concurrently with 3rd Avenue. I believe the same trucks had to come over. Yeah.
So might
Yeah.
it be extrapolated that First Avenue is next? Because they've already dug up in front of all.
Yeah, I don't think First Avenue is next, but we're gonna have to get back to you on those cones. I don't have the answer. Yeah. I'm sorry, Jen, go ahead.
Yeah, they've done the southbound part of 2nd Avenue. They've done from 111 to 117th, I think, on going southbound on 2nd Avenue, but they haven't started.
The northbound isn't scheduled to be done. They have to replace the sewer lines before they repave it. Okay? And a lot of that project was due to the sisters' project of their subdividing their land. Okay, anybody else have a? Oh, I'm sorry.
When and where is the low-income housing coming in?
Oh, that's an excellent question. So it's called COA. It's the Coalition for Affordable Housing. We had an obligation because the nuns subdivided their property. We had a 3-unit obligation. It's at 10206 3rd Avenue. The project is being worked on right now. It's 3 units. And I think it's slated to be finished by November.
Another question, just wait till I come up to you.
96th Street Bridge, when is that going to be repaired? The 96th Street Bridge.
Excellent question. My suggestion is that SHPOA.
Is that working?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that my suggestion, Chris, is for the fall meeting of SHPOA is that you invite the county in to share the 3-year plans for that. I believe it's starting this fall, but it's a county project, just like 3rd Avenue, so we don't have any jurisdiction. We just hear what they're going to do. So I think an update in the fall would be appropriate. And even for council, we need an update of where the project is. They're going to try to have minimal closures over those 3 years, the building of a temporary bridge. And at the end of the day, the final bridge is going to have pedestrian crossings. It's a great project for everyone to see, and not to mention it's going to be stronger.
Okay, you mentioned about the 3 units of affordable housing.
Yes.
We read something that there was going to be somewhere between 200 and 300 units of affordable housing.
Right.
Where are you looking at to put that amount of affordable housing in?
So actually, we have a lawyer. That's part of our legal costs. We have an attorney that we hired that specializes in affordable housing. She does it full time. And we hired a planner specifically for this. And we are challenging that determination. And Our legal counsel tells us that our 3 units satisfies our obligation to this point. So that is in process, and we'll see what happens.
So let me just say, the 200 to 300, I don't know where that number came from. The obligation, well, no, so what we said what we sent out, so the obligation that was given to Stone Harbor was 26 units. Right, and so to the extent that you rely on private developers to do that, they typically develop and they do a 20% set aside. So 26 units, theoretically, you could have 5 times that to get your 26 units. So the borough has filed its housing element, and I think we sent a link to that. It's a long document, but it sort of outlines the compliance plan. And I don't want to get over the skis here, but the borough has claimed what's called a vacant land adjustment, saying we don't have any vacant land, so we can't meet this need, and so it's going to be deferred indefinitely. That's an aggressive position for the borough to take, but under the Fair Housing Act that was amended in January 2024, the plan that has been filed is open for objections by developers and other parties until August 31st. And so hopefully the borough gets through that August 31 deadline without anybody challenging the plan, and then they're in good shape. If somebody challenges the plan, then you got to litigate it and all of that. So it remains to be seen. But I think the actual number is if a private developer did it all, would be closer to 100, 125 units.
So if you want to get a really good overview of this, the planning board had a review of this on Monday, and that recording is on the borough website, okay? Also, your council meeting on Tuesday,
Yes.
I believe the lawyers that Jen referred to will be giving another presentation. So remember, if you're in town, you can go to that at Borough Hall, but it's also available by Zoom, and they'll also post that. So that's really the best way. Forget the 80-page document or whatever, you'll get that. So Ted's got a question, then I'm bringing it over.
Jeff, can I just interrupt you for a minute? I think the lawyer may not be there. Actually, watching the planning board meeting is going to be the most detailed information you're going to get. And yes, will it come up at the council meeting? Yes, but if you're, the level of detail that you probably want, you're going to find at the planning board meeting online.
Jen, you mentioned transparency and even going beyond transparency to taking the initiative to sharing information. Chris mentioned a request for a report that we received that was heavily redacted, which appears to be a contradiction.
Yes.
Can you help me understand that?
Yes, absolutely, I can. First of all, when we invited the DCA in, and they're doing efficiency studies, I think we all expected to have a long report that we could share with everybody. And then we found out, actually probably because of SHPOA's request, some of us were saying we didn't get a report from the DCA, and others were saying we did. It turns out that they don't give formal reports, they give PowerPoint presentations. So they had given us a PowerPoint presentation on several departments in a closed session. The reason why it was a closed session was that it detailed personnel. And that is one of the items that we can't discuss publicly. So it was decided by our solicitor to release the report to you for your Oprah request, and that's Open Public Records Act. Anybody who would like information from the Borough of Stone Harbor, you can submit an Open Public Records Act request. It's Oprah without the H, okay? And the details are at our on our website. But anyway, SHPOA requested this document, and our solicitor went through and redacted it. That's a legal matter that the council members aren't involved with. I would say if there are parts of it that are redacted that you think should be public information, I think you should definitely address that with the solicitor. Does that answer your question?
To a degree.
Question over here.
Good morning. Thank you.
Let me just say, Ted, so we're also trying a different tack. We've actually filed an Open Public Records Act request with the state to get the report from them. So I don't know if we're going to get it. But, among friends, we just disagree with what the solicitor did. We think that some of the redactions were inappropriate. So we'll deal with trying to get that additional information.
I mean, personally, I'd like you to have all the information, because I think as taxpayers, it's very valuable information for everyone. It's your tax dollars, and, how's your government spending it?
When things are redacted, it raises other questions.
Absolutely.
Well, good morning, and thank you to the town officials, representatives who are here, and to show SHPOA for having this meeting. This has been great. I have a question about beach badges. I was a little confused about the change in pricing.
Yes.
And the rumor I heard sort of undermined my confidence in how the borough's run. So if you could give me the real story on why prices changed, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Be happy to. So we have a new CFO, and we searched for a CFO. We did an exhaustive search because we needed it, and we got one of the best CFOs in the state. Prior to her arriving, there really weren't checks and balances. And what happened with the beach badges is a prime example of it. One employee sent out the brochure that had the wrong rate in it. The reason it was the wrong rate is because we had an agreement with Avalon that we would charge the same rate. We all knew what the rate was going to be, and we were surprised to receive it in the mail with a different rate. So that's an issue that our CFO addressed. You can no longer spend money without prior approval. Okay, so you cannot be sending out a brochure to the taxpayers without it being approved.
And then you reprinted everything and mailed checks back rather than just dealing with the difference in price, because you have to. Because I was told my check was sent back to me, I have yet to receive it.
So the CFO, did you get your badges or did you get a check back?
I did not get the check back, I had to buy all the badges, and I don't know what happened to my old check. Nobody has it.
Okay, why don't you come and talk to me after the meeting, and, all right, why don't you give them your email address and your name, and we'll find out what happened to your check. What I can tell you is that the CFO made a determination based on an error that was made, and she had a cutoff date and after that cutoff date, they were $35. She did the best she could with an errant situation, and that's all I can tell you. That's the story of what happened. We are working for you. We're working to be more efficient, to have more checks and balances, to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Any other questions for Jen? Want to meet me halfway?
Can you explain what this $125 a quarter is on the sewer bill? Did we ever get a notice about that? Is this something that's permanent or is it temporary?
Ken, do you want to take that? Yeah, of course. Could you guys have sat next to each other? Give me 1 second, Ken.
The simple answer is because the allocation of expenses from the general fund wasn't done right. We moved a couple $100,000 into the water and sewer, actually the utility budget. That precipitated the need for an increase plus prior folks decided that they were going to try to flatten the rates. They did bad math, and we didn't raise over $500,000 that was necessary. So between the two, you had about an $800,000 shortfall. And so that's where the 125 per quarter came from. We're going to be looking at how rates are structured. Apparently Stone Harbor does it differently than almost anybody else. For lack of a better way to put it, we're going to look at what other utilities do, but at the same time, we're going to look at what makes sense. And what makes sense is the vast majority of what we spend in utilities is for infrastructure. It's not for what it costs us to pump water out of the ground. It's not for our sewer flow to the county. That's about 24% of our total spend. It's about everything that's in the ground that you guys don't see, that now we're replacing, that we didn't build any reserves for. So therefore, we got to pay for it by putting in more debt, and you're paying for the debt service. So that's what that is going to be. But we're going to start also creating a reserve, because even though we won't be around the next time, we really need to be good stewards and make sure there is money available to replace this stuff as needed, and also for emergencies, because when we have emergencies, we also don't have the funds. So this is just standard, common financial sense that has not been done, and it will be done. And so we welcome everybody's input, because I don't know, I do know what I'm doing, okay? I do have to sit in front of juries and convince them that I'm right. But I will tell you that the more input that we have, the better that A, it's going to be, and also the less questions we're going to have. I mean, you guys have a lot of questions. We shouldn't have all these questions. Stuff should be rather obvious. It should be information should be available, and we're trying to do that to the best we can. Things that are, I'll call it, legal issues when it comes to personnel, we can't talk to you about that until it's done. Things with the litigation that we have, I will give you a little explanation. Yes, insurance covers things, but insurance is something that there's an anticipation of what your cost is going to be. Your premiums are based on that. Because of these personnel litigations that we've had, we've exceeded that. So effectively, the insurance carrier is charging us what they call retrospective premiums, meaning that we blew our budget in the years past. They didn't collect enough premiums, so now they're charging us for that. On the legal fee side, the insurance carrier's lawyers who are dealing with it, the insurance company pays for. We have to have our own lawyers, which is our solicitor. We pay for our own lawyers. So it's sort of a hybrid answer to what the question was, but that's how insurance works, and that's how litigation works. Your insurance carrier will always cover you from a legal perspective, but for your own personal attorney, which you should always have. So that's why we are spending a decent amount of legal funds, which, again, folks weren't able to manage that in the past. We're managing that better now.
Thank you, Ken. And just one comment to add to Ken's point about, you shouldn't have questions. Remember, as SHPOA members, you can go to our website. You can always put a question in to SHPOA. And if we don't know the answer, we'll find the people that do. So use your membership in that way. If you have a question about any of these things, you can put in a question to the website. So please, by all means, do that. Rich, one more question I have to defer, and he couldn't sit any farther away, our former president, who is going to pretend to meet
And
me
we invite
halfway.
you all to become.
And then we have
members.
another
If you're in New Jersey,
section.
please come and become an active part of Stone Harbor.
Jen, I actually don't have a question, so you don't have to worry. I know. Look, I just want to make a comment. For those of you that don't remember, Rich Fuchs, I'm the past president up to last year. I want to make two observations. Number one, when I stepped aside from the board last year, I felt really, really good about the group of trustees that was assuming the mantle. After watching today's presentation, I feel even better. These guys are doing great work, and you should thank them for what they're doing to try to address the issues we have. On the issue of finances, I also feel very good. The borough has acknowledged and has understanding the challenges that we face. And it took us a long time to get here, and we could spend days talking about how we got to this point. But what I'm hearing today, I must say, is a recognition that there are challenges, we have to work on them. It's going to take a long time. It took us a long time to get here. And it's not going to be easy. And folks, there are going to be decisions you don't like. But if we're going to fix this problem, and I think that the current administration is taking steps in the right direction, those decisions are going to have to be made. And, you know, I ask just simply for you to continue to stay engaged with the great board you have here, and give your feedback, because they listen and they take this to the borough. And Jen, Tim, all council members, they listen, they want to hear it. So I just wanted to sort of give a positive note and give a little bit of shout out for all. What I'm seeing is a real recognition and the beginning of change. And it's going to take time, but I'm feeling better than I did maybe a year or two ago. So thank you.